was the Raven last year, now the left tackle for Kansas City. You look from high above on a beautiful night. Temp in the low 70s. KC won the toss. Defer Harrison Butker to kick off to get this thing underway. Devin Duvernay back to receive. And away we go from Baltimore, where the Ravens will begin at the 25-yard line, and we meet their offense.
Lamar Jackson, Louisville.
Tyson Williams, Crestwood High School.
Pat Ricard, University of Maine.
Samuel Watkins, Clemson.
Hollywood Brown, Oklahoma.
Mark Andrews, Oklahoma.
Alejandro Villanueva, United States Military Academy.
Ben Powers, Oklahoma.
Bradley Bozeman, Alabama.
Kevin Zeitler, Wisconsin.
Patrick McCary, Cal Berkeley.
Michelle talking about the injuries. 15 Ravens on injured reserve. Kansas City has one guy on injured reserve. One. So Jackson ready to go to work. They start, as they often do, out of the pistol. And he keeps it after faking the handoff and picks up about 2 around the right side. Jackson last week in Las Vegas in that overtime loss, 19 of 30 through the air. He rushed for 86 yards and had that 1 touchdown, no picks, but 3 fumbles, 2 of which were lost, and the last one was critical.
In fairness to him, he was under siege much of that game. Their 2 tackles did not play well.
Not at all. And so you got Villanueva going to the left side. Who's standing inactive tonight. Some motion here. Jackson off play action. Jackson's going to go deep and too deep. Intended for Marquise Brown. Got a step. Ward was covering on the play, and now it's 3rd down and 8.
Great read that time by Lamar Jackson. The safety stepped up right in the middle of the field, and Hollywood Brown ran right by everybody. This should have been a touchdown. A missed opportunity. You see him give him the hook. He had everybody beaten, and Lamar missed the throw. Maybe a little too jacked up for this matchup.
So instead of maybe 7-0, it's 3rd down and 8 from their own 27-yard line. Showed blitz, but back off. Jackson fires, picked off at the 35-yard line by Ty Matthew. And the Honey Badger will take it all the way in for a touchdown. Tyrann Mathieu did not play last week. He was on the COVID list. He was eligible to play. Andy Reid said he needs another few days off, and that's the way his season starts. On a 34-yard interception return 50 seconds into the game.
His receiver is going to go down on the right-hand side over here. A slip, a fall, an interception, and a touchdown. Sammy Watkins just simply lost his footing. Lamar Jackson was thrown off, and not good when you're down 6-0 and Holmes hasn't taken the field.
Extra point hits the upright, but goes through. Well, couldn't be a more inglorious start for the Ravens. Almost had a touchdown on that long pass overthrown. Then the next thing you know, Matthew returns it, and it's the 3rd pick 6 of his career.
You're totally counting on your receiver. Obviously, you're reading the defense. The linebacker's inside. You're expecting that Sammy Watkins is going to slide slightly to the outside, but because he slipped, he didn't do it. And Tyrann Mathieu, how about that? Misses last week, comes back, plays 1 series, has 1 touchdown.
He is at the peak of his powers. I mean, Matthew, he's no youngster. I mean, 6 years in Arizona, then a year in Houston, comes over here, all pro. And we told him the other day, hey, you've gone from a star to a superstar.
6 interceptions last year, 3rd in the NFL, and not a bad start here.
So Butker with his 2nd kickoff of the night. And I'll the first, a touchback. Let's take a look at the Kansas City defense.
Chris Jones, Houston High School.
Jaron Reed, Alabama.
Tershawn Wharton, Missouri S&T.
Frank Clark, Michigan.
Ben Neiman, Iowa.
Anthony Hitchens, Iowa.
Nick Bolton, Missouri.
Charvarius Mooney Man Ward, Macomb, Mississippi.
Daniel Sorensen, BYU.
Tyrann Mathieu, LSU.
L'Jarius Sneed, Louisiana Tech.
Sneed had a great rookie year. You saw Frank Clark. He also missed last week's game against Cleveland with a hamstring injury. Now, Latavius Murray is the running back. Good gain here. Little right guard to the 31-yard line. Gain of 6.
There we go. Sammy Watkins right out here. Watch, he's just going to try to stop and turn around. And because the linebacker is coming from inside out, his thought is that he'll turn around and come right back into that hole. But obviously didn't get a chance to do that. And that is a rough go. And Sammy Watkins has been hot. Those two guys have had a great combination working, but that one worked against him.
That's the first time Lamar Jackson has thrown a pick 6. This time it is Tyson Williams over the right side, and he picks up a first down. So it was chronicled by Michelle at the top, the injuries they had. So Williams, second-year guy, played at BYU briefly. He was at North Carolina, went to South Carolina, played at BYU, tore up his knee there, so he had a shortened career. So they have him, they've got Latavius Murray, they have Devontae Freeman, and they also have Le'Veon Bell in town, but he's on the practice squad, at least for the moment.
So right now, the Ravens are doing what they will have to do to win this game, and that's run the football. That is their strength and probably Kansas City's weakness on defense.
From the 36, that pass is caught by Marquise Brown, and he gets it out to the 47-yard line. Talking about Lamar Jackson, no pick 6s in the regular season. Of course, he had one in postseason last year that turned the game around in Buffalo.
Yeah, they call these the old RPOs. Going to read that guy right there. He really doesn't move, but Lamar felt good enough about it. You're going to throw it anyway. Nice job there by Hollywood Brown, sitting down in the hole and not running behind that linebacker.
Hollywood Brown has nothing to do with the movie industry. He's Hollywood Brown because he's from Hollywood, Florida.
You know which one I like better.
Yeah, I know. From the 47-yard line. Out of the pistol again. Williams. Nice run here. Around the corner he goes. And a first down into Chiefs territory to the 40-yard line, tackled there by Mathieu.
Hey, the replacement doing all right. Patrick McCary right here. Watch him with this little reach block out against Kansas City's best defensive player, Chris Jones, who this season is playing out on the edge. And one of the things the Chiefs were worried about is this is such a non-traditional running kind of offense. Would Chris Jones be comfortable with all these pulling linemen and all the tricks that the Ravens do in the running game?
Blitz from the corner, and getting right by it is Freeman. Devontae Freeman takes it to the 10-yard line. Blitz from the left corner. He cuts inside and turns it into a long gain, 31 yards.
So interesting here. Now they're going to pull the opposite direction, make everybody come down here and run it back this way. So it's the misdirection within the offensive line play that really sets up that big run.
Good block by the fullback, Patrick Ricard. Longest run for Freeman since 2017. Tyson Williams now back in as they're alternating the running backs. They've used all three so far. We've got Ricard in the backfield as well. Hand the ball off here. Good slip move there. Williams in there. Devin Duvernay winds up with the football. So Williams trying to get into the end zone. And Duvernay on top of it. That was quick. 3.5 minutes, 75 yards.
Wow, watch this one. Off the left side. Fullback, Ricard leading the way, but now contact on the back end by Mike Hughes. Ball shoots straight up in the air. And a touchdown. Al, I think we're off to a quick start in this game.
And the Ravens say, you know what? We couldn't have any worse luck in the first game, plus 50 seconds of this one. Maybe something's going to work our way.
Oh,
great looking drive. Tucker now for the extra point. Sam Cook to put it down. And 4.5 minutes into the game. What a start in Baltimore on Sunday night. 7-7. Met Gallup and all of his buddies.
There you go. Rob's the man. I'll take the way he's dressed over all of them. That's my guy.
I'm with you. Pick off here. Byron Pringle's going to get to run it back. Starts to stumble, and they take him down inside the 20 with a flag coming in, our first of the night. Brandon Stevens making the tackle. Clete Blakeman, our referee, and his first audio of the night forthcoming.
There was a huge block thrown on that kickoff.
During the return, holding return team number 26. Penalties half the distance to the goal line. First down, Kansas City.
Chris Lamons. Patrick Mahomes in September in his career 11-0. Look at that, 35 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great rating. I mean, Kansas City, since Mahomes took over as a starting quarterback, off to great starts. 3 AFC championship games in a row, 2 Super Bowls, a win and a loss, and a lot of people think they'll be back in LA on the 13th of February. Starting the gun with Edwards-Helaire in the backfield. They send Kelsey out of the backfield as well. And Edwards-Helaire for a 9-yard pickup as he gets to the 17-yard line. Let's take a look at the offense now for Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes II, Texas Tech University.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, LSU. Tyreek Hill, Pearson Community Technical College.
McCole Hartman, Georgia.
DeMarcus Robinson, Florida.
Travis Kelce, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Orlando Brown, Oklahoma.
Joe Tooney, NC State.
Creed Humphrey, Oklahoma.
Troy Smith, Tennessee.
Lucas Mian, TCU.
We'll talk about that offensive line. It's amazing what they have done. Second down and 1. Off the fake, the pass is caught outside the 20-yard line. Michael Hardman making the grab, and it's a first down for Kansas City up at the 24.
RPO on one side of the ball, RPO on the other side of the ball, this time with a little pick underneath. And this guy really not even in the equation here. The minute he steps that way at all, the ball is coming right back. Nobody runs those RPOs more than the Kansas City Chiefs, nor do they run them better.
So the whole line go to the right side. Mahomes went to the left. Now on the roll, he throws. That is caught. And Tyreek Hill is there as we take a look at the Ravens defense.
Calais Campbell, University of Miami.
Brandon Williams, Stanton Elementary.
Justin Madubuike, Texas A&M.
Tyus Bowden, Houston.
Patrick Queen, LSU. Malik Harrison, D, Ohio State University.
Justin Houston, Georgia.
Anthony Averett, Alabama.
Chuck Clark, Virginia Tech.
Deshaun Elliott, DBU.
Marlon Humphrey, Alabama.
Keep an eye on Humphrey, bothered by a bad back. And he's in there tonight. It's second down and 3. Mahomes steps up in the pocket, avoids the rush, throws, and that's caught. And that's Hardman again. And Hardman is out of bounds near midfield. A guy who sort of gets lost in the shuffle with Hill and with Kelsey, but he may play a bigger role this year.
Well, you know, after the day that the top 2 receivers had last week, look at Patrick Mahomes. It's already started. Moving to his left, contort your body back to the right, and find your number 3 receiver. So one thing we know tonight is the Ravens are going to try to take out either Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, one or the other, on as many plays as possible and make those other guys beat them.
That was a 19-yard gain. Nice move by Edwards-Helaire to get it to the midfield stripe and a gain of 1. With 8 minutes to go in the quarter, it'll be second down and 9.
Justin Madubuike, one of the big guys up front here, going to come across and work across the line of scrimmage. Anytime you get the running game like that, if you get this sort of penetration, even though he wasn't able to make the play, he makes Helaire just hesitate for a moment, his buddies were able to get behind him.
Mahomes hands the ball off, and this time again it's Edwards-Helaire. Played his college football at LSU, one of 5 LSU guys picked in the first round last year. Great rookie season, off to a good start this year. 3rd down.
Al, I may have lied to everybody in the opening on camera. So far the Ravens defense has been very safe. 2 deep safeties. Basically, you want to run the ball, you run the ball, but we're taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands.
Change it up.
Now 3rd and 2 may be a different story. This is where you may see it.
Crowd already full in. Quick throw out to Kelsey, gets a block and gets taken down after he picks up a first down. The all-world tight end. What a year last year, set the record for most receiving yardage by a tight end in NFL history.
Yeah, they're just so efficient, though. Watching they come out here, they're going to have a block in front. So the wide receivers basically have no role whatsoever in the passing game there. They are just setting up blocks for Kelsey to get in behind. It's just almost like a moving screen on the outside. Andy Reid just comes up with so many easy ways to convert those kinds of plays.
And that was DeMarcus Robinson and Marcus Kemp, the wideouts, providing the blocking for him. Mahomes feels that pocket deep downfield into the end zone, juggled and caught for a touchdown. DeMarcus Robinson. Marlon Humphrey all over him, and Robinson juggling, pulls it in. It's 33 yards, and it's a touchdown for Kansas City.
Well, first of all, a brilliant throw, but let's make sure this is a catch. It was bobbled once there. Does he get knee down? Yes, he does. No additional bobble. I would say touchdown. Watch what Mahomes does. If he doesn't buy times escaping from Brandon Williams there, this never happens. Then on the back end, there you go. You think we only throw the ball to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? What have you seen so far?
From Nicole Hardman, and then you go to DeMarcus Robinson, who threw a nice block on the prior play. Extra point by Butker is good. So we're off and running at Pimlico. 14-7, Kansas City. 5 for 5 for 75 yards and a touchdown. And KC is already up by 7 with 6:05 to go in the opening quarter. Butker to send it down toward Duvernay, who had a kickoff return for a touchdown in the game between these two teams last year. And won't have an opportunity again this time. Start from the 25. Let's go inside the numbers with the Ravens and their offense. Most rushing yards last year, fewest passing yards. And there's Greg Roman, who is the offensive coordinator. Last year, they averaged 192 yards per game on the ground and 171 through the air. First time since 1980, back-to-back seasons we've seen that happen. Of course, when you got Lamar Jackson, that'll most of the reason.
That'll help.
Little running quarterback. He's flanked this time by Tyson Williams in the backfield. Jackson fires to the outside, and that's caught, and Brown gets free. Spins away, takes it out to the 44-yard line. Get away from Daniel Sorensen for a gain of 18.
Yeah, and what you're seeing, Al, is just the opposite from the Kansas City Chiefs. They now know they are not doing a very good job, obviously, of stopping the running game of the Ravens. So now they have all their guys in the box to stop the run, and they're playing man-to-man on the outside with Daniel Sorensen, who's a safety by trade, on a first-round draft pick and speedster in Hollywood Brown.
Brown pick number 1 in 19. Oklahoma. Williams. Looks like they found something in him out to the 49-yard line. A 35-yard touchdown gallop in Vegas the other night.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. And when we asked the question, though, about will we see a little bit more of Tyson tonight and less of the other guys, and he said, no, we just consider all our guys kind of equal, and you'll see Murray, you'll see Freeman, you'll see Williams, and mostly they don't want to wear Williams down because you know the amount of bulk that you get running the football with this offense.
We've seen all three of them already in the game tonight. Mentioned Le'Veon Bell is on the practice squad. Second down and 4, under 5 to play in the quarter. And to the 50-yard line goes Williams to set up a 3rd down and 2.
Well, they welcome back Frank Clark to this defense. He had to sit out because of a hamstring the last time around. They do think that they're going to limit what he's doing out here tonight, so you'll see much more Michael Dana on early downs, but come passing downs, they want Frank Clark in the game. There's Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator.
Running back now is Devontae Freeman. Fakes it to him. Jackson around the corner. And Lamar picks up a 1st down before he's forced out of bounds by Anthony Hitchens at about the 40-yard line.
Now, this is what the Chiefs feared the most. Lamar Jackson taking it right here. So they're going to have that fairly well congested, but with Lamar Jackson, you know, that doesn't mean a whole lot because he has the ability to go bounce out and do that. So it's hard to quantify his impact on this league, really, because he's just such a unique quarterback. But more often than not, he finds a way to not take those big hits.
Takes it again, his 3rd carry of the night. And another good one. The stiff arm there stays in bounds. A little bit short of the 1st down. Stiff arm Sorensen has been involved in almost every play tonight. It'll be 2nd and 1. I mean, the Ravens have already rushed for 92 yards in the quarter.
Yeah, these are the read options. Nobody does this more. You're going to see him. He's going to take a look out there at 97, Alex Okafor. And the minute he took a little half step inside, look at that. Derrick Henry lives, man. I'm surprised Jim Harbaugh didn't grab him and tackle him out of bounds.
Yeah.
Get over here. We'll take this hit.
Derrick Henry lived in Seattle, that a big comfort behind overtime win for the Titans over the Seahawks. Play clock is down to 2-1. They get it off. Murray, Latavius Murray. And he shows some of that old burst. Started his career with the Raiders, had a 1,000-yard season there, tackled by Snead, 1st down.
Anytime you have a 300-pound fullback, you're going to see good things happen. Watch the block on the edge. If you can seal this edge right there, it is going to give some great opportunities for this back. So they are already 3 backs down in the Ravens backfield, and they are still running the football like this. Gives you some idea of the impact a quarterback and an offensive line can have.
Already 100 rushing yards on 11 carries. Jackson deep to the end zone and incomplete. That's Ward covering on the play. Sammy Watkins, the intended receiver. 3,000 rushing yards and under 500 carries. Take a look at the guys who have done this. Cunningham, Steve Young, Michael Vick. The only running back is the former Chief Jamal Charles, and now Jackson. He did that on this drive, joins that elite circle. Send Brown in motion. Toss it to him. He has to fall down to get it, and then just make sure he holds on to the ball at the 28-yard line. 2nd to make it 3rd down.
Yeah, these two teams just play with so much motion. They always have people moving. It's almost the cheat code in the NFL anymore. The teams that use the motion the most tend to do the best on offense, because no matter how much you practice and work together on defense, you just always want them making adjustments on the fly as the ball's being snapped, and both of these offenses get that.
So it's 3rd down and 14. Minute and a half to go in the quarter. Jackson in the pocket, going to the end zone into the line of traffic, and it's picked up by guess who? Matthew. His 2nd interception of the night brings it back to the 14-yard line. So Ty Matthew, inactive last week, coming off the COVID list. A pick 6, and now this toward the end of the 1st quarter. KC ball. Second time as a Chief. Back in 2015, he did it as a Cardinal. Jackson goes over the pictures on the bench, and here goes Mahomes to work. 5 for 5 for 75 yards so far. And it is caught along the near sideline by Hardman. He did haul it in. So his perfect night continues. 6 out of 6 for 92. And back we go to the interception.
Tyrann Mathieu, the master of disguise. They had this thing looking like a cover 0. So Lamar Jackson pre-snap was thinking, all right, I've got the post. But then they back out. He has to see that on the fly because there was no chance of getting that football in there. He knows he fooled him on that one.
3 white shirts surrounding the intended receiver. Off the fake, and then a pump, and then a sidearm here, and this is caught by Michael Burton, fullback. A flag thrown. Second flag that Blakeman's crew has put on the grass tonight. And the Chiefs are beginning to back up.
Pass interference, offense, number 11. 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Demarcus Robinson, the man who had the 33-yard touchdown reception.
Well, this is what the Ravens have to look for defensively. Let's take a look down the field. Yeah, that jersey cloth gets tugged, and that's their favorite call, the officials. They'll never get any dispute about one of those.
They empty it here. It's first down and 20.
Patrick Queen out wide in man coverage.
Bad snap, and Mahomes will collect it and then throw it away. And they say it is going to be an incomplete pass because he was outside the tackle box, you would think.
At the very least.
Well, the flag comes down now, late. Here's Blakeman to make the call. Could be grounding, is it? Terry McAuley thinks it is. Let's see what Blakeman says here. Bad snap. All he could do is try to get rid of it, and he does. But
intentional grounding, offense, number 15. The ball replaces the spot of the foul. It's also a loss of down. It brings up second down.
So they've got a new center here. It's Creed Humphrey, who's also a left-handed snapper. And it's over the head here of Mahomes, and you'll see where he is when he throws it.
So for him to throw it away, he's got to get outside that tackle box, and he does not. But because the ball was snapped to the left side of that box, he never made it out the right side.
So it's your basic 2nd and 38. And Edwards-Helaire is stopped by the one-time Chief, Justin Houston. So the crowd is back into it now as we reach the end of the opening quarter. An exciting one in Baltimore with Kansas City leading 14-7. And Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages. From the 2-yard line. Mahomes will fire. That'll give the punter some more room as Jody Fortson, one of the tight ends, makes the catch. So at least Townsend now has a ton of room to set up. He comes in to kick for Kansas City.
But that's what you've come to expect out of this Ravens defense. Okay, you've made some mistakes. 2 interceptions. All right, whatever. Don't worry about it. This defense historically here with Wink Martindale has said, we got you. And they did right there. That was a big series. Get him the ball back.
Tommy Townsend, the punter. His brother Johnny is on the Baltimore practice squad. That's going to bounce at the 45 and take a nice Kansas City hop and be down at the 33-yard line. Lamar Jackson, his kryptonite, of course, is the team he's facing tonight. All teams except the Chiefs, he's 30-5 with a 105 rating. Rushes for an average of 76 yards. You put him against these guys. Stormy weather, 0-3. 79 rating.
Yeah, it's been a slow start for Lamar this season. 2 fumbles in the game last week, 2 interceptions already here. He is fully capable of flipping that switch and going crazy on the offensive side here too, which is what makes him so exciting to watch.
Running back is Williams. Give it to him. And he will get stuffed at the line of scrimmage. It's Nick Bolton right there. We check in with Michelle.
Well, take a look at Tyrann Mathieu after he got his second interception in this game. We observed him getting oxygen on the sideline. Here he is. Remember, he had COVID. He was cleared and activated before week 1, but they kept him out of week 1. When we talked to him this week, he said, I feel great, so much better than I did before last week. So he's obviously feeling pretty good, but the oxygen helps.
Unbelievable.
You know, Al, though, he went out on the field and tried it out last week before the game, and he had so much chest tightness that Andy Reid said, no, we'll wait a week. Good decision.
The Ravens wish he had it tonight. That is caught to the 40-yard line. Goes Mark Andrews, their elite tight end. Mathieu makes the tackle there. That's going to make it 3rd down and about 3.
Yeah, that's really the guy that they need to get going is Mark Andrews. He just signed the big deal, 4 years, $56 million, and second most touchdowns the last 2 years behind Travis Kelce. But he has not been much of a factor against these Chiefs defenses, and he could really help Lamar. You know, just some easy throws. Let's get some easy completions, get a little confidence going here.
2 of the best in the league. You've got Gronkowski, you've got Kittle as well in that mix. 3rd down and 3. Keep it on the ground, and the Chiefs are equal to that task as Williams cannot pick up the 1st down. And the punt group will come in for the Ravens.
I tell you, the MVP so far on the defensive side of the ball, well, other than Tyrann Mathieu, Nick Bolton. This young rookie has been so impressive. Watch him come down in here and make the plays. He's been making them on both sides of the field, and he really has been a guy I enjoyed watching him in college. You could just see how smart he was, and his instincts are paying off here tonight.
Sam Cook is in his 16th season. He was a 6th-round draft choice back in '06. Hardman back to receive it. Hardman calls for and makes the fair catch at the 11-yard line, then starts to take off, and the crowd says you shouldn't be able to do that.
Well, there was a little late block there, too.
They certainly won with a run. Darrell Williams. You know, you look at the offensive line for Kansas City. What a story. Orlando Brown, they trade for him. He's really good, obviously. Joe Thuney, the former Patriot. And then 3 guys last week, center, right guard, right tackle, who'd never played a snap in the National Football. This is like bringing in 5 new security guards to protect the Hope Diamond.
Well, and that's what they have, right? And after they watched the Hope Diamond get beat up in the Super Bowl, they said, we're going to make some changes. Literally, on the plane ride on the way home, they were planning and scheming what they were going to do with this offensive line, but I don't think even they would have anticipated all 5 would have changed.
So Mahomes back in the pocket, fires. Kelce out to the 27-yard line on the Kansas City 1st down. Harrison makes the tackle on the play, and that's the 6th 1st down for the Chiefs tonight.
This guy is just so good with his one-on-one route running. He threatens to go across the face of the linebacker Harrison here, bites on the fake, and then just gently slides outside. And for a quarterback to get a guy that wide open, as many times as Kelce gets that wide open, this makes his job so easy for Mahomes.
Little flip out here. Edwards-Helaire cannot get around the corner, and he is 2nd down and 7. Send Darrell Williams in motion. Mahomes fires. That's caught here by Robinson to the 39. He goes for a Chief 1st down.
Yeah, protection good one more time. And for Patrick Mahomes, it was interesting talking to him about that Super Bowl. Under pressure, 55% of his pass attempts. He had never seen that during the course of his career. And of course, he had that bad toe that he knew he was about to have surgery upon. There are the numbers right there. And he said he literally had to curl his toes in order to run in that game. Can you imagine trying to escape those defenders in Tampa with your toes curled?
Mahomes fires. And right now that's broken up, intended for Hardman. Marlon Humphrey is there. Yeah, you watched him in the Super Bowl. You knew, first of all, he had a concussion during the playoffs as well. He had to come out. Henne had to come in the Cleveland game and do a masterful job, and then he just wasn't right in Tampa that night.
Well, you know, they had real players on that offensive line. Mitchell Schwartz was so good for so long. They ended up parting ways with Eric Fisher. But when they started at the tackle position and started making those changes, you knew it was going to be a massive overhaul.
2nd and 10. Mahomes fires too deep on that one. Good coverage. Again, going Hardman's way. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Lucas Niang on the right tackle position is going to go against Odafe Oweh, who may be the best pass rusher right now for the Ravens in one-on-one situations. It was not pretty for any of the tackles in this game a week ago, and yet I think you're going to see both Niang and Orlando Brown settle in here tonight.
Crowd in full throat on a 3rd down and 10. Mahomes chased out, comes back, eyes downfield, fires, and that's incomplete, almost picked. 4th down.
So one of the things they wanted to do was start jamming these receivers out here, and then when they come off, if Mahomes starts the scramble thing, don't go back in coverage. Let's go get him. Let's attack. Let's come back down the field and put pressure on him. They're calling that a layered rush against Patrick Mahomes, and you could see that time at least it worked.
Tommy Townsend in the punt again. First boot was 54 yards. Devin Duvernay is back and pulls it in at the 11-yard line. Good run back out to the 28 to set Baltimore up there with 8:52 remaining.
Read number 55 out there, Frank Clark, and then decide then you're going to read Ben Neiman on the other side, and that's a run or a run, depending on what Lamar Jackson wants to do. On the other side, it's the RPO. It's the run-pass options for Patrick Mahomes because he's so much more comfortable reading that linebacker and throwing the ball. And to be quite frank, they don't want him running the football.
You do love those RPOs. You always love those RPOs. 28-yard line. Jackson keeps it. Off he goes to midfield. So Lamar Jackson with that team now already running for 121 yards. That's 21 yards to the Baltimore 49-yard line.
Okay, you can block them or read them. This case, they read them, so they don't block them. And Lamar Jackson going to say, okay, yeah, you want to step down inside, big Chris Jones? I got you. And remember, this is Chris Jones' first year playing on the edge, so he really hasn't done this trick. He hasn't had to watch Lamar Jackson go flying by him the way that he has so far in this game.
Ready to move back inside after that. 1st and 10, 49. Through the middle into Chiefs territory. Murray gets gang tackled at that point with 8 minutes to go in the opening half. 14-7 Kansas City.
What now? Chris Jones is getting a bit of a lesson out here at playing defensive end. So they read him the last time. This time they're going to come out and pull across and trap him. So he gets upfield and then takes one right in the face. So they are trying to hit the great Chris Jones as many different ways as they can, because what they do not want him doing is destroying the game, which he's fully capable of. Had both sacks for the Chiefs a week ago.
76 off the fake. Protection's good. Pass is right on the money. That's Brown to the 28-yard line. Goes Hollywood Brown. Sorensen there for the tackle. And Jackson now 5 of 9 for 50 on a gain of 19.
Well, one guy we know has a lot of pride, and that is the veteran, Alejandro Villanueva. This time he has Chris Jones on the other side. Villanueva back playing left tackle where he played all those years with the Pittsburgh Steelers and played so well. They had him at right tackle a week ago, and that didn't go so well.
And it's because Ronnie Stanley is hurt, inactive tonight with that ankle. And there he is. because he's one of the reasons that Brown was available to be traded, because Brown wanted to play left tackle, winds up in Kansas City. Jackson, a deep drop off the play fake, and then Andrews will slide to a stop. Checking with Michelle.
Well, Alejandro Villanueva played wide receiver, defensive line, and left tackle at Army. He's experienced transitions, but moving to right tackle in Baltimore, he told me it's somewhat like being a 12-year-old going into a presentation in front of a whole class, and you have to talk about blood cells and mitochondria, and you don't know what you're talking about. He told me he felt awful about the way he played Monday night in Las Vegas, saying, sometimes you overthink, I've got to play more naturally.
Better tonight, 2nd down and 2, and that'll be a first down on a 3-yard pickup. With 6 minutes remaining in the half, Latavius Murray, the ball carrier here.
Alejandro Villanueva has a way with words, doesn't he? We enjoy his quotes. There's John, not Jim Harbaugh on the outside. There's Alejandro Villanueva on playing tackle. Of course, remember, he is a veteran.
Reminds me of jumping out of airplanes when I was in the Army. Very little upside. Best thing can happen, you survive. Playing tackle, same way. Best thing that happened is that nothing happens.
So we're like broadcasting in some ways.
Yeah, but of course. From the 16, fakes it to the left and throws, and that's incomplete. Of course, he was there with Mike Tomlin. So you imagine the wordplay going back and forth with Tomlin and Villanueva. 2nd and 10.
I tell you, sometimes Lamar Jackson just doesn't see what's there. So he wanted to get the ball way out wide out here, but watch Andrews settle right in the middle of the field. As I draw over the screen there, he's wide open. That is your second read. Just go there. It's not there. The first read's not there. Get your eyes right back there. And if you can run it like this and then find those open guys, it's a deadly combination.
You see the flag come in as Williams, for the moment, picks up a couple. 3 penalties against Kansas City, none against the Ravens to this point. However, Andy Reid patrolling the sidelines for a 23rd straight year.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 78 was uncovered on the end of the line of scrimmage. It's a 5-yard penalty, and we'll replay 2nd down.
So the Ravens.
So he was lined up in the tight end position, and there was
uncovered.
There you go. That would have made him eligible. So if he reported, maybe he just didn't report. I don't know what the issue was.
First penalty against the Ravens tonight. 2nd down, 15 from 21. Pass on the run. It's caught here by Williams. He gets it down to about the 12-yard line. Nick Bolton, good-looking rookie out of Missouri, 2nd-round choice, makes the tackle. So the Chiefs, take a look at that. Last year, they were the worst in the league in the red zone with Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator. 77% means that 3/4 of the time when the offense got inside the 20-yard line, they gave up a touchdown.
Be disappointed if they give one up on 3rd and 7.
Well, they gave up 4 last week in the Cleveland game. 3rd down and 6. Jackson stepping up, feeling it. Throws, and it's going to be a first down, even though Williams slipped after he made the grab, but maintains his footing long enough to make it a 1st and goal.
Alejandro Villanueva back on his A game here, this time against Frank Clark on the outside. Good solid protection, and nice job here by Lamar Jackson. He steps up into the pocket, took his time. He wasn't considering reading or running, even though I heard half the crowd yelling, run, 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 when he was sitting there. He wanted to complete that ball in the pocket, and he did.
He's 8 out of 13 for 75 yards through the air. Murray is the running back. Give it to Latavius, and Murray takes it into the end zone. Touchdown, Baltimore. .5.5 minutes, 72-yard drive.
Just power football. They're just going right at them now. This is what the Ravens are all about. Nothing tricky. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to come off and go pop you in the mouth there. And that interior offensive line now with Ben Powers and Bradley Bozeman, Kevin Zeitler, so much more physical than what they were. And that's even without Tyree Phillips, their big 350-pound guard.
Justin Tucker's kick ties the game with 3:21 remaining in the opening half. In Baltimore, 14-14. Together as the kick is fielded at the goal line by Byron Pringle. And a good run back to the 34-yard line comes the Kansas City Chiefs. As we take a look at the two big stars tonight, a couple of ways to win. Quarterback ranked since 2018. Mahomes first in winning percentage, and Lamar Jackson is tied for second. TD passes, of course, you got Mahomes with 118. Rushing yards, 3,033. Goes over the 3,000 mark tonight for Lamar. One MVP on the left, one MVP on the right. Probably one or two more in each guy's future. Is that Edwards-Helaire? Look at that pushing and shoving him. Turns maybe a 6-yard gain into more like 9, second down and 1.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a little more out of that with Kansas City. There's Lamar Jackson, and like we talked about, a lot of his splash plays are when he runs, but he showed on that drive he has the ability to make those big plays in the passing game, and he didn't get shaken up by the fact he threw the 2 picks.
Go to Hill, slips a tackle. So Tyreek, the big man, that 75-yard reception last week, only his second catch of the night. They've bottled him up, 11 total yards.
Did Mahomes change his mind in mid-throw here? Watch him. Kelsey is the one straight in front of him. Either is one of those kind of no-lookers, or he was like, I'm going to do it. No, I'm just going to slide it over that way.
Empties the backfield. They're going 5 wide as we kick down to the 2-minute warning. That's caught by the tight end Kelsey, and he steps out of bounds to stop the clock at 2:07. Malik Harrison covering on the play, and they will wind the clock here, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning. First time win at Seattle, coming from way behind. Field goal by Zuerlein, ending the game in Los Angeles. And here at the 2-minute warning from the 40-yard line, Mahomes sidearms it. We'll see. This is actually Blake Bell to the 20-yard line. So the backup tight end playing the role of Kelsey right there. 6'6" and 260 at Oklahoma. Picks up a first down on a gain of 20 yards.
Al, what's happening is they're covering Tyreek Hill with everybody. I mean, you're seeing safeties, cornerbacks. They're just, wherever he goes, they've just got multiple people in position. But what it's done is really open up the tight end position for tonight. Not just Travis Kelsey, who's been having some easy catches and one-on-ones with Malik Harrison, the linebacker, but now you get Blake Bell with an easy opening on that screen.
Looks like a doppelganger, doesn't he? You think it's Kelsey made the catch. Here's Deshaun Elliott, who gets shaken up on the play, and he'll walk out for at least one play. Made the tackle on the play, so he comes off at least for one play. And replaced here.
That's a problem, though, because he is...
Brandon Stevens comes in.
Yeah, who's the rookie. So you've got Chuck Clark, Deshaun Elliott, who are sort of the cornerstones in this defense on the back end. Now a rookie, 21, replaces him.
Kelsey lines up in the backfield, goes in motion. Edwards-Helaire wrestled down after a gain of 4 to the 16 and 35, and ticking down here. KC with all of its timeouts.
Big Calais Campbell. We saw him at dinner the other night. It was great. Until, I mean, really, we were around so many big football players in our careers, but when he walks in the room, that's a different kind of big right there.
Oh, yeah. Elliott went into the medical tent, second down and 6. Going 5 wide here. To the outside quickly. Jerk McKinnon makes the catch, stays in bounds, and gets the ball inside the 5-yard line. So a new piece is added here. McKinnon sets up a first down and goal.
Yeah, the minute McKinnon came all the way to the outside, you also saw Patrick Queen go out there. That's the easiest read in the world right now for Patrick Mahomes. He is way off, way inside, and McKinnon is one of those little scat backs who can really run. They did it earlier in the game, and I was actually surprised he didn't take it there. He didn't pass it up twice.
Darrell Williams in the backfield. Mahomes has hit 7 different receivers in the half and thrown for 179. Williams, and he will take it in. So the Chiefs retake the lead as Darrell Williams carries it across the goal line. Two-and-a-half-minute drive, 7 plays on that drive, 3 runs and 4 passes.
Yeah, Patrick Queen this time is going to try and come in, as they call it, sneak in the back door here and make this play, but just couldn't quite make the turn and make the play there. So let's talk a little bit about this Chiefs offensive line, because they're starting to play some power football.
Butker for the point after. So back and forth we go with 51 seconds to the half. And the Chiefs up by 7.
For Baltimore, 35 for the Chiefs.
Total yardage for the teams just about even. So with 51 seconds, Jackson goes to work here. They have 2 timeouts, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Chris, you talked about how important Deshaun Elliott is to that Baltimore defense. He has gone to the locker room. He is being evaluated for a concussion. We saw him go into the medical tent. He went to the locker room with the UNC, that's the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant, which indicates he's in the protocol, and we'll keep you posted. Generally, when guys go to the locker room, they don't usually come back to the game, but we'll keep you posted.
Unless you're Lamar Jackson in Cleveland. And then you come back on a Monday night. Last year, unbelievable. First down from the 25-yard line. And Jackson will throw, and it'll be caught to the 36. Sammy Watkins, who played last year, has 3 in fact with Kansas City, making that grab, and that will stop the clock. As Baltimore takes its 2nd timeout, and we will be back in the Harbor. 47 seconds to halftime. From the 36. Some action in the secondary and a penalty here. Going to be against the Ravens.
False start. Offense, number 5. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
It's Brown. John Harbaugh, 14th year. That's gone by quickly. Man.
He's a good coach.
Terrific.
He is a
good man. Coach. Owns a Super Bowl ring. 2012 beat his brother Jim and the 49ers in the Super Bowl. First down and 15. Jackson in the pocket, slings it, caught, short gain, another flag. Watkins makes the catch. Neiman makes the tackle. And the next voice you hear will be Clete Blakeman.
Holding, offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
That's on Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah, the best thing is nothing happens, right? Isn't that what he said? So he's had a good first half, though. Let's give him credit for that. But Frank Clark knew. He looked at the official right away and said, come on. Come on. I know he's a veteran, but come on. Now the game gets a little bit interesting. The Chiefs with all 3 timeouts and 1st and 1,000,000. Do they start playing the game a bit?
Well, 1st and 25. From the 21-yard line. Hand it off to Williams. And Williams will take the ball out to the 41-yard line. So now maybe the Ravens will take their final timeout. And they do here with 33 seconds. So they go from 1st and 25 on a 20-yard gain. And we're back in 30 seconds once again. The guy they can't wait to get back, but he's going to be out for about 3 weeks. Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. Can't wait to get him back. The Ravens always looking for that speed. Wide receiver is after the timeout. That pass is caught up at the 50.
Beautiful.
That's a great move by Andrews to get out of bounds, and he does. They don't have a timeout over Charvarius Ward that stops the clock with 26 seconds. Huge to get out of bounds right there without a timeout.
Just a fantastic job. Knew what he had to get done, and up over the top. That is a big-time, thoughtful, and athletic play right there. I wonder they paid him all that money. He's trying to work his way into that big 3 tight end conversation that everybody has.
Well, you got to put Glock in there too.
Yeah, well, for sure if you're going all time.
Oh yeah. First down. Jackson's going to run, and he's going to pick up a first down. Wow. He's going to get to the 32. Has to get up there and try to spike it now. Can't stop the clock. 15. Down to 13. Spikes it there, get 11 seconds. So you've got the most accurate field goal kicker of all time. There he is, Justin Tucker. Of course, you say that, nothing like a kibosh, and we are the kings of the kibosh.
Yeah, this run is amazing. I mean, watch all the moves. 1, 2, 3. I mean, every step is almost another move and another defender going flying by. I mean, he doesn't look like he's trying very hard, does he? I mean, he looks like he's kind of a grown-up playing with kids sometimes.
It's a video game. They're going to run another play here, try to get down to bounds, which they will do. So Watkins makes it a little easier for Tucker, who now comes in with 7 seconds to try to make this a 21-17 game at the half.
Whether he makes this or not, I think that's huge for the Ravens. To have that kind of confidence, to have the 1st and 25, to convert that, do it with the run game, do it with the pass game, but be aggressive attacking this Chiefs defense all the way throughout this half. It really gives you some confidence going in.
Absolutely. And the Ravens will have to go on defense. Kansas City is going to get the ball at the start of the second half. Sam Cook to put it down. 43-yard attempt for Tucker. And the most accurate field goal kicker of all time at 91% in his illustrious 9-year career. Bangs it through with 3 seconds to make it 21-17.
That's the job very few people want, to be the holder. Of course, it's always the punter now, but only bad things can happen if you're the holder. That is the ultimate. Only bad things can happen. The only time anybody even knows that Sam Cook holding is when he drops it.
I think they ended the quarterback being the holder when Tony Romo mishandled that snap in the playoff game in Seattle.
But it makes sense, you know, you want a guy like Romo handling the football if something goes wrong, because it gives you a chance to throw a pass to whomever might be out there.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah. Defend my guy.
Right. Andy Reid, 14 years in Philly, 9 years now at Kansas City. A lot of us thought that, you know, he needed a break after Philadelphia. Nope. Right to KC, like the ownership situation, like the team, and he and Brett Veach have done a tremendous job as a coach GM combo player. They're both signed through 2025. Going to hand it off here and not go past the 19-yard line by Byron Pringle, and that takes us to halftime. Chiefs get the second half kickoff coming up next to halftime. Mike, Drew, and Tony right there to tell you what's going on. A lot of action in the first half in Baltimore. Kansas City on top, 21-17. They'll get the kickoff. The numbers for Patrick Mahomes, 179 through the air, and a touchdown pass. Jackson, 55 yards rushing. Those 2 picks, 106 through the air. The 2 picks by that man right there, Tyrann Mathieu. Earliest pick 6 in Kansas City Chiefs history. And the Ravens with 165 yards on the ground 4 players with 25 or more already. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. Wrapping up week 2. Been a heck of a day in the NFL, and this one fits right in. Mike Hughes is back to receive the kick. Mahomes going over the film right there, and there is Lamar Jackson, who will await his turn. Kansas City to get the ball.
Doesn't it feel good to be back in here with the crowd again? Carrie Underwood getting us fired up right off the bat. Then we got the open. The opening was funny as heck. I love that one. You got to steal a trophy. You got to take what you want.
Great, absolutely.
Great night.
I think a little malfunction right there with the helmet. That's great, man. After last year, last year was.
It was hard.
What a one-off. Yeah, you're walking into these stadiums. Kind of missed the traffic jam, sort of. Here we go, second half. It's going to be a run back kick here is fielded up at the 16-yard line. Short kick. As Michael Burton runs it back, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Andy Reid told me at halftime he'd like to see his offense sustain drives. They punted on 2 of their 4 drives in the first half, scored touchdowns on the others. He also said he wants to see his defense tackle right, maybe slow down the Baltimore offense. John Harbaugh, another injury to add to the list. Deshaun Elliott, the safety, out with a concussion. Same plan for their offense here in the second half. Run the ball, protect Lamar. He said we got a lot of plays left.
Very much in the game at this point, Michelle, as we start here with a run and a solid hit. Edwards-Helaire, a flag thrown. Clete Wakeman will call it. Just what the Ravens need, another injury. They have 15 guys on injury reserve, and Kansas City has 1.
Holding defense. Number 92. It's a 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Justin Madubuike with the hold, their first down.
Yeah, one of the things that you'll see defensive linemen do is try and grab the offensive lineman so they can't get off to the linebacker. Here he grabs, you can see the little pull right there on Trey Smith, but then comes off and makes a huge hit. So Madubuike, a lot of pride out there where he's playing.
Nice run by Edwards-Helaire. Gets up to the 39-yard line. Second down and 3.
Yeah, and my surprise of the first half is from that guy right there, Wink Martindale. He's had his defense top 3 in scoring defense for the last 3 years, and yet in that first half, instead of blitzing and doing all the things that they did against the Raiders, just 3 of 17 dropbacks did they blitz. They're playing them pretty much straight up.
Well, they've lost 3 years in a row, so maybe, you try to not trick them necessarily, but change the plan. Pass here is caught for a first down as Kelsey takes it up to the 42-yard line. Humphrey makes the hit.
Yeah, as soon as I said that, they brought the slot blitz. So there you go. Everybody wants to fool everybody anymore. So here they're going to come off the edge. So Kelsey just goes, thank you very much. And I think that's what you learn about these Kansas City Chiefs is they're so well coached, and Mahomes knows so much of what he's doing, and Kelsey is understanding how to read defenses as well as Patrick Mahomes can do it, and it's just hard to blitz them because they make you pay.
From the 43, off play action, little toss here. Michael Burton, the fullback, and a 10-yard pickup there. 7 different receivers make it 8 now, with Burton making his first grab of the night.
And I think that really is the story of Patrick Mahomes. You know, they come out in the first game a week ago, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce has like 275 out of 330 yards in the passing, whatever it was, 80%. And then you come back in this game and they go, okay, you want to try to take those guys away? You want to take Hill away? No problem.
Edwards-Helaire. Nice run here. Creed Humphrey, the center of the nice block.
Let's take a look at the first half of Tyreek Hill. You're going to see all the double teams, which is great. It's a good idea. He had 197 yards receiving in the opener. So you should double team that guy. He is that good. But when you're using 2 guys to cover 1 guy, there are going to be other guys open.
A lot.
Yeah. So, and as long as Mahomes is patient enough and doesn't feel obligated to throw the ball to Hill, or Kelsey's going to get mad at him. It's really tough to cover.
Spread it around 8 different receivers. Mahomes has thrown for 195, 2nd and 4. Over the middle, open here. Pringle, Byron Pringle outraces everybody. Touchdown. 40 yards, and he is the 9th different Chief to catch a pass tonight.
Exactly what I was talking about. You've got Kelsey and Hill at the bottom of your screen, so you adjust the coverage all over that way. Patrick says, I'm not even going to look over there. Heck with that. I'm just going to take this guy who has nobody anywhere close to him. And there goes Pringle for the touchdown. So tonight, Pringle has a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson has a touchdown.
And the extra point here for Butker. His 4th of this Sunday evening. So right off the bat in the second half on their first possession, Chiefs down the field. 74 yards. Mount Hebron 18-6. And now 3-0 in support of youth football. The Ravens Foundation has awarded grants to 105 teams throughout Maryland for new football apparel and equipment, impacting over 1,000 youth athletes. Look at Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator. Talk about him when KC gets the ball again. He's been in the news a little bit. His team up by 11.
Trying to recruit him down low.
No, I'm not.
There we go.
I want only the best for him. So you got the 2 coaches here. Andy Reid against his former assistants is 13-5. He's 5-1 against John Harbaugh. Harbaugh was on Ray Rhodes' staff in 1998 in Philadelphia. So Rhodes gets fired, but Rhodes recommends Reid and Harbaugh to Reid. And then he winds up there and he says, you know, I know I'm not your guy, but I want to become your guy. And he did.
Yeah, when you're going in the room with a new head coach, that's the one thing. If you're not his guy, then that head coach really doesn't want you. But if you can become his guy, good things happen, and good things happen for John Harbaugh.
And 14 years as the head man here, and that is caught by Marquise Brown, who takes it into Kansas City territory. That's a gain of 27 yards for Hollywood Brown.
This time when the RPO guy basically comes after you, oh, baby, that's nice. That becomes a really easy read. Step up across the line of scrimmage, and lucky that wasn't a touchdown. There was no free safety in the middle of the field. Tyrann Mathieu got a couple of interceptions, but that might have been his biggest play of the night.
Brought him down from behind. 48-yard line. Latavius Murray is the running back out of the pistol formation. Give it to him. Nice run. Flag is down. For the moment, a gain of 5.
Holding, offense, 72. 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
And that would be the left guard, Ben Powers, shaking his head.
You know, Al, this is the hardest part, and more around the league, this is what offenses have been reduced to because of the fact that when you're out there playing on offense and you have all the RPOs, and you have all these options, you have all these different things, you can really wear out a defense. So a lot of defensive coordinators are now saying, look, you want to run the ball? Go ahead. It's fine with us. Eventually you're going to have a holding, you're going to have a penalty, you're going to have a fumble.
Case in point right there on the 1st and 20. And now it's going to be a second and even longer. Frank Clark takes care of Murray before he can turn the corner. Loss of 4 yards, 2nd and 24.
Yeah, this is a read option that the defender won. So now he's going to come across. He's the unblocked guy here. And Lamar thought there was enough space to get out there, and there wasn't. So chalk one up for Frank Clark.
From their own 38, good protection. That's caught. Andrews. Mathieu is running him down and chases him out of bounds. But a nice gain there on a 2nd and 24. And they will spot the ball after a 20-yard gain to make it 3rd down and 4 at the 42-yard line.
Yeah, it looked like some kind of man coverage, and that was just a broken coverage on that one. But let's give a lot of credit to that offensive line. That was all day. and Lamar Jackson needed it. That gave Andrews plenty of time.
3rd and 4, 3 wide against 5 defensive backs, and he throws. He's up in the air as he throws it to Hollywood Brown. Touchdown. Lamar Jackson jumping up in the air, getting it to his man, the 42, and a TD.
First of all, let's see how he got this open. Obviously, miscommunication on the back end here, and there he goes. But that's not the highlight. Let's watch the highlight. Go on with it, Lamar. A little jump pass down the field. There you go. Just every once in a while, this guy will flash something that kind of takes your breath away. Look at him. Jackson almost beat him in the end zone.
Tucker for the point after. So KC scores on its opening drive, and Baltimore immediately answers. 28-24. Touchdown to Hollywood Brown. Get him right back in it at 28-24, 9.5 left in the third. Again, Kansas City coming in 1-0. That win over Cleveland. And that wrenching loss by the Ravens the other night in overtime Monday night in Las Vegas. Trying to get to 1-1. Tucker to kick it. Hughes is back there. Start from the 25-yard line. And back we go to the TD.
I tell you, you can argue who's the best quarterback in football, but as far as the 2 most entertaining quarterbacks in football, he just posterized that Kansas City Chiefs defense on that one. Up over the top, nice vertical, and sling. You know how hard that is to do right there? And what a play, just a mistake on the back end, but you're going to see that highlight for the rest of his life.
Who needs a base, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Airborne. Little flip here to Hill on the end around, and Tyreek. 15-yard gain. You watch these quarterbacks, Chris. I think it's that old song, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
Yes, sir.
No, you can't. Yes, you can.
Yeah, this entire game is really coming down to that first pick 6 by Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, that's what flipped the script, right? Because they had the ball first, gave it up, and a touchdown, and then the Ravens had to watch the Chiefs take the first snap of the second half, and they just are going back and forth. But that first pick 6 has set the tone.
After a gain of 15, gain of 1 here for Edwards-Helaire. To Michelle we go.
Well, Baltimore nose tackle Brandon Williams was getting some attention on his neck on the sidelines. We do not see him coming back in. We'll try and get a status and get back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Michelle. And there he is. So they're already minus Elliott, the safety. Now they work on the big nose tackle.
Derek Wolfe not in this game either.
No. 2nd down and 9.
Here they go with Patrick Queen out wide again in coverage. Let's see if they come right back to his side down here at the bottom of the screen.
All 5 receivers go out. Fired. That is juggled, but recaptured by Nicole Hardman. Had a big opening quarter. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
Good read that time by Patrick Mahomes. He was looking out there to go to his running back that time, Darrell Williams. Didn't like it, came right back to read number 2. Little bobble, and here we go. This crowd is up.
Wink Martindale, his defense trying to hold Andy Reid. And the enemy sending in the plays on 3rd down and 4. Mahomes fakes a throw and then is taken out of bounds short of the first with a flag. Patrick Queen stops him there. And Blakeman will check out the call in conference.
Holding defense, number 44. Penalties 5 yards from the end of the run. First down, Kansas City.
Sean Marlon Humphreys says, yeah, it's me.
no question. Little double move at the end. Wasn't anticipating the scramble. It goes upfield, and Humphries just said, you know what? I'm just going to have to do it. He wasn't going to give up the big play, but it cost him on the back end, because I tell you what, that was an amazing chase down by Patrick Queen, the young linebacker.
Would have saved the first down. Meanwhile, Mahomes with all that great play faking, deep downfield and incomplete. Intended for Hardman. That time Stevens had position on him. 2nd down and 10.
Young Brandon Stevens on the backside, but watch Mecole Hardman. Every sprinter knows it's something you have to do. If you don't have to turn your head, you can go faster. So look at him. He wanted to speed up, so he put his head back down to accelerate, but he still couldn't get to the ball as fast as he was. But Brandon Stevens, that young player, stepped in already now for Deshaun Elliott and is making some plays.
Hardman ran by Averett, and then Averett said, no, you take him. And he did. 2nd down and 10. It's coming. Mahomes gets away, keeps his eyes downfield, and fires and completes it to Kelce. What else is new? And Kelce with blocking inside the 20, rumbling inside the 10. Look at this. Kelce's in the end zone. Crazy. Robinson and Edwards-Helaire with the blocks. They provided the convoy. That's 46 yards, and Kelce does the rest his own. Crazy.
Welcome to the greatest show on earth with the greatest athletes on earth. This is unbelievable. It's a tight end. Don't forget now, this is a tight end. This is not a wide receiver. It's not a running back. This is a tight end that is going to make moves against safeties and defensive backs all the way down the field, and then use a little power to go into the end zone. All right, just write down that one too. We're going to watch that one for the rest of his life. What a night.
Mahomes has now thrown for 286. Got chased down by the nose tackle, Ellis, at the end, who went all the way downfield to no avail.
Don't forget what Mahomes did to buy time to set that play up.
Butker's extra point. He is 5 for 5 tonight. Kelce's caught 5 for 89 tonight, and it's 35-20 game on this Sunday night. Temperature in the low 70s, and Lamar and company go to work from the 25.
You know, Al, there are a lot of great athletes in the world, but ones that can do this stuff when somebody's breathing down their neck and trying to take their head off, to me, that's a different kind of athlete. And Patrick Mahomes has been doing this his entire career. Lamar Jackson, more moves than you could possibly imagine, and then the jump pass over the top. They are flying up and down the field. This has been as good a show as we've seen in some time on Sunday Night Football.
Better than advertised. I mean, you expect these guys to put on a show, and they have, and we're only halfway through the 3rd quarter.
Ravens have to stay patient. They do not want to get away from that running game.
And then they start on the ground with a 3-yard run of sorts by Tyson Williams. Rob Ryan.
What do you tell your defense? Right? I mean, what do you're over there and you're like, all right, guys, listen. No, never mind. What do you tell them?
Yeah, well,
I mean, they're playing hard. They're, you know, they're flying around the field, and Spagnuolo's guys, they're playing hard, and they've got a good defense and played in 2 Super Bowls. And but this is just up and down the field. First one to blink probably loses here.
Johnson stepping up, feeling the heat here, gets it away. And a nice play is made. There's a flag down up at the 37. That's Snead tackling Andrews, and a flag a little bit up the field.
Could they call a pick on that?
It was 2nd down.
Illegal contact, defense, number 32. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down, Baltimore.
So that's on time. Matthews is, what are you talking about? First down.
Obviously 5 yards to cut off. His old teammate Sammy Watkins lining up across the way. Gonna let him do that.
That shirt
Sometimes they let him do that, and sometimes they don't.
Tug on that jersey. Number 33, looking for space. Another 3-yard pickup. This time it's Latavius Murray. It's 167 ground yards for the Ravens tonight.
And the amazing thing about it is this is a really intricate running game. There's a lot to it. And J.K. Dobbins is a 4-4 guy playing running back. He's gone. Gus Edwards, a 340-pound powerhouse. He's gone. Justice Hill, their third guy. He's gone. So these guys basically have just started having reps in the last 10 days together, and they're running the ball like this.
Yeah. Murray, Freeman, Bell on the practice squad. Williams has been there from the get-go this year. To the outside, this is Freeman, and he can't spin around the corner. Sorensen, the safety, comes up to knock him down. It'll be 3rd and 8.
Daniel Sorensen may be the most unappreciated guy on the Kansas City Chiefs, but he led them in tackles last year with 91, 3 interceptions, tied for the most. He has made some spectacular plays over the years on special teams, especially in the playoffs. That game a couple of years ago where he had the 2 plays that really won the game for them.
But it's college ball at Andy Reid's alma mater, BYU. 3rd and 8. Look out. And down he goes. And just speaking of Sorensen, he's all over the place. And you're right, he's made so many big plays, and he's overlooked because of all of their other stars, including, of course, Tyrann Mathieu.
And that was a bit of a delayed blitz there. So he's up, and then it looks like he's going to drop back and watch him. Then he comes late when the offensive line divides and opens the gap. Here he comes. He's the kind of guy that you want to have around. Tyrann Mathieu was telling us what an incredible teammate he is. He said he's probably one of the best teammates I've ever had. You want to stay after practice, do a little extra work, you don't even have to ask. He's right there with you.
Sam Cook. 28-yard line. Hardman.
Flag down.
He goes nowhere. So it was Jody Fortson who came in. And now you've got what was a 4th and 17.
Didn't look like a whole lot. Is this one of those ones where they might whisper in their ear that, oh, wait a minute, now they're saying hold it. Oh, yeah, they tackled. There you go. That makes more sense.
Holding, kicking team number 46. Kansas City elects to enforce that penalty from the previous spot. We'll replay 4th down.
You know, that's one of those bad plays that wasn't a bad play, because I do believe that punt was going to get blocked.
By the way, that's the new long snapper, because Morgan Cox was there for a ton of years with Cook and with Tucker, and they brought in Moore with Cox going to Tennessee.
Nobody knows long snappers like you, Clark.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Bill Belichick does.
Yeah, he does. That's true. He did it about
Bill ran out the clock in a press conference the other day with the history of long snapping. Sam Cook. Cook kicked for about 27 miles in his career. 39-yard line, and this is Hardman who's going to bring it back into Ravens territory. 3:14 remaining now in the 3rd quarter. Halftime performance tonight. Kansas City lead. They start this drive from the Raven 49-yard line. Whoa. Look out. Woo, into the backfield from Matabike. Big Justin hits Darrell Williams before he can get started. Loss of 5, 2nd and 15.
The center, Creed Humphrey, was supposed to be able to get to Matabike, but even the best athlete on this team couldn't get to this big guy. Watch him shoot the gap before the center can get there. Bam! He has been playing fired up tonight. I know he got the penalty, but even on that one, he had a huge hit.
Free shot. Now you got 3 defensive linemen. 4 guys come. Toss out to the right side. And Tyreek Hill, who they've really taken out of the game tonight. But everybody else has done the damage. Stopped there by Humphrey. He makes his 3rd grab of the night.
I'll tell you, that's one thing about this football team, and with Eric Bieniemy, you better not be complaining about not getting the ball, because if Pat's not throwing it to you, it's because other people are open. So just keep your mouth shut.
3rd and 12. And flag is down.
There are too many defenders out there. 5, 10, 12.
Prior to the foul for too many men on defense, Baltimore took its first timeout. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Okay. Well, they're the 2 coaches. Meanwhile, we talked about Eric Bieniemy. Had a shot at him before, offensive coordinator. He's a perennial candidate to get a head coaching job. There he is. Of course, the rumor now, especially out in L.A. this week, is that he's in the mix to become the USC head coach. They have an interim Dante Williams there. Clay Helton got fired. But Eric told you the other day. I'll tell you what he told you the other day. So I don't know where that came from.
It's exactly what he said. He goes, are you kidding me? He said the AD at USC is the guy that fired me at Colorado.
Yeah, Mike Bone, he was the AD at Colorado. They fired everybody, and he was fired along with the whole staff back in 2012.
Huge play right now for this Ravens defense. They have to have this one.
3rd and 12. 3-man rush. And there comes the 4th late, and the pass is picked off at the 44-yard line. Tavon Young intercepts it. They rushed 3, and then a 4th guy came in. Owe, the rookie, forcing the issue, forcing the interception.
Fantastic defensive call. So they're going to jam Kelce. Here comes the layered rush. 1 and then a 2nd layer. They think Mahomes makes most of his big plays on this 2nd step up. And that time, they end up with the rookie Owe right in his face to make the play and lead to the interception.
Mahomes' first pick of the year. Owe, who had no sacks at Penn State. So he finally had one last week. Likeable kid. Said, well, I took care of that one, and he took care of this one, too.
Runs into 4 threes for a linebacker.
Jackson.
So does he.
Inside the 40, puts his shoulder down, takes it to the 36-yard line.
I think Lamar's into this game now. He could have easily just stepped out of bounds, and he did not. He's running down the field. Everybody's screaming, all right, step out, step out. I don't think so. I'm playing against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Let's go. I kind of like that.
We showed you earlier with Mahomes, had all the TDs, 38 of them, counting 3 tonight in September. No picks. So that was the first time he's been intercepted in his career in this month. And we'll see. What do you got?
Baltimore takes a 2nd time.
Wow. Oh, boy. Let's go back to the play by Owe. Meanwhile, Baltimore's down to its final timeout.
I just love watching plans when they work. So they're trying to slow Kelce down anyway. So jam him and then rush late, because we know what Mahomes is going to do. With that 3-man rush, he's going to step up right in the middle. Now just make one center miss, and Mahomes tried to do one too many plays. Why not? He's made such incredible plays here tonight.
No magic on that one. So they had to use 2 timeouts. Play action, stepping up, fires. That's caught. That's Sammy Watkins. To the 17 he goes. Jarius Sneed stops him there, first down.
Maybe Lamar Jackson throws the ball better in the air. I don't know. I think he threw another jump pass here. At least a semi-little jump pass, but he's starting to aggressively attack the line of scrimmage. And everybody that plays Lamar Jackson, they don't want to see him running down the middle of the hashes. We've seen all those little moves that he has. That's when so many of his big, long touchdowns happen, because people just can't tackle him when he can go either direction.
Final minute of the quarter. Up the middle. Good run to the 11. There's Tyson Williams. That will set up a 2nd down and 4.
Tell you, defenses do get tired trying to stop the run all night as we head into the 4th quarter. This is just the 2nd game of the year, so conditioning is always a factor early.
Changing ends of the field. Good one on Sunday night in Baltimore. 35-24. Kansas City.
Even if you don't like golf, you will have a heck of a time watching that.
Very cool. Numbers for the quarterbacks as we go into the 4th quarter. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya on Sunday night, 2nd down and 4. Jackson dancing, throwing, caught, and taken down at the 2-yard line. Josh Oliver, one of the tight ends, makes his first grab, sets up a 1st down and goal.
Now, they tried to get a ball to Oliver last week. They came up with him. He was a 3rd-round pick by the Jags just a few years ago, and he has some speed to get down the field. So another weapon for Lamar Jackson.
Five different receivers for Lamar tonight. Williams the back. McCart in the backfield as well. Jackson's going to keep it himself. Around the corner he tries to go. Can he get in? Yes! Touchdown. A lot of white shirts out in front of him. Too quick.
Well, that's the problem. You get the read option, and you have a guy out here, but he can't catch Lamar Jackson. I mean, you can do whatever you want. There's no way Michael Dana is going to catch him. And Lamar just once again lays his body out for that touchdown. Now this is football tonight.
Oh, this is great.
This is football tonight.
Now they're going to go for 2, down by 5.
How much you want to bet, since they did the read option with Lamar keeping it, this time they hand it off and just try and cram it right in.
See if they give it to Williams. Nope. Jackson's going to keep it, throw it, and it's going to be caught. Hollywood Brown. Put a flag down. To hold everything. What we got? Well, you can tell by the crowd, they can sense it. And Tucker's already warming up for what would be an extra point attempt.
Downfield, offense number 70.
Kevin Zeitler, so the guard, is downfield. And that costs him a 2-point conversion.
So, Al, what happens a lot of times on these sort of RPO plays here, these guys don't know if it's a run or a pass, so they're trying to cram these guys back into the end zone. But that time you'll see Zeitler is going to be standing on purple, which is more than a yard downfield, and he gets the call.
So, Terry McCauley, Terry, you're watching this thing. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, Al, he initiates contact with an opponent within 1 yard, which he can do, and then I see the opponent, I see the defender actually push him past him to cause him to go more than a yard. That's really not the spirit of the rule. I don't think that should be a foul.
I think the Ravens would all agree with you, and despite the penalty, they're still going to go for 2.
Yeah, the math is still the math, right? This is the right thing to do.
From the 7-yard line this time. Lamar Going to throw, and it's going to be picked off. So this play is still alive right now. A little toss here. Ball is loose. Everything but the Stanford band is out on the field, and that's the end of the play. Crowd, of course, loves it. During a break on the field, Olympian Sydney McLaughlin was recognized for the 2 gold medals she won in Tokyo, including her world record run in the 400-meter hurdles.
That was amazing. Did you see
Tremendous.
it?
Oh, yeah. And she got a fantastic ovation from the crowd as well. Brings the gold medals to the stadium tonight.
She and her dear friend sort of on the podium together, side by side. Just, oh, man, they were running their guts out.
Great scene. So 35-30. Tucker sends it a couple of yards into the end zone. Mike Hughes is going to come back with it. Tackled up at the 24-yard line.
All right, let's take a look at our next-gen stat powered by AWS. You remember Kelsey's 46-yard touchdown run. Well, his expected yards after that catch said that maybe he gets 16 yards out of it. But then Kelsey said, I don't know if you know it, but I set the NFL record for tight ends last year for most yards in a season. And so he adds on another 27 yards because he's Travis Kelce.
Second longest TD of his career. He had an 80-yarder a few years ago. This one good from 46. Edwards-Helaire takes it up to the 27-yard line.
I tell you, this Patrick Queen is starting to get it. A season ago, I didn't really think that he did. I think they were a little down on him here, but now he's starting to understand the game. He's starting to fly to the football. He chased down Patrick Mahomes on that one play, and they had the penalty on it. But he is really making an impression early in this season.
Took down his old LSU teammate, Edwards-Helaire. These are the first-round draft picks. Caught up the 32-yard line, and Hardman picks up the first down.
I tell you, the other thing that I've been really impressed with tonight, and I have to say it, I think they're just a small bit of what they're going to be for Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, and that is this offensive line. I think there's a little combo platter coming here. Yes, the protection is better, and it's going to get better, but inside with those 2 young players, Humphrey and Smith and Tooney, they paid all that money for, there's some power now coming off the ball.
Only their second game together. Edwards-Helaire can't get out of the backfield this time. You go back to that line. Humphrey, rookie out of Oklahoma. They picked him in the 2nd round. Trey Smith, very interesting story. A lot of medical issues for him at Tennessee. He was picked in the 6th round. Yang opted out last year because of COVID, but he was picked in the 3rd round and 20 out of TCU. But man, they're protecting, as we say, the crown jewel. 2nd and 12. Three-man rush, low throw, and that's caught on the ground. Robinson making the grab for a short gain. 3rd and 9. If indeed he caught it. Really close. You know, the problem with the Ravens now, when you use those 2 timeouts, are you going to try a challenge and be out of timeouts on a play like that? No. No way. 3rd down and 9.
Biggest play of the night right here. Ravens get it back. They have a chance to take the lead.
Mahomes steps up. He fires, and that's incomplete. Coverage is right there on Hill. That's Anthony Averett. Breaking it up. 4th down.
Oh, these young players are stepping up. Anthony Averett, Brandon Stevens, they are having a night. How'd you like to be young Anthony Averett out there one-on-one? Okay, Tyreek, let's see what you got. Here we go. Blanketed, baby. Take that one back to the house. That is some play on the biggest play of the night.
Tommy Townsend They send it down toward Duvernay. Not a particularly good kick. Down to about the 26-yard line with 11:16. Short boot, 35-30 is coverage beginning 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific per usual. Green Bay and the 49ers next week. They start this drive from the 32. Jackson scoops for 9. Up to the 41-yard line. And Lamar tonight now on the ground, 85 ground yards, 8 carries.
It sounds crazy, but it is like watching the Globetrotters play out there. There are linemen going in 2 different directions, and all of a sudden this 4-3 quarterback comes right down to shoot. Nobody's used to seeing quarterbacks run right up the middle, right over the center, and yet that is where Lamar Jackson seems to do his most damage.
Well, they bought in, the Ravens did, on this offense when they drafted him. Turned in that MVP year 2 years ago. In his first playoff game last year. Trying to guide him from behind tonight, and a run here by Murray to move the chains. First down.
So now they're going to their jumbo set with Cologne coming in the game, and he is right out there. So just an extra offensive lineman, and they just take it. Actually, he's on the other side of the field. And just going to go right down their throat, because right now, if you want to really have an impact on the Kansas City Chiefs defense, just leave them out there. Leave Mahomes on the bench. Just play some power football here.
So in effect, a good long drive, but right now they're going to go to the air and it's dropped. So Sammy Watkins, he enjoyed being in Kansas City, but you know, when you've got Hill and you've got Kelsey there and the others, Sammy wanted the opportunity one more time in his career to be the #1 guy.
And you know this is killing him. There's probably no team he'd rather beat than his old Kansas City Chiefs, and that was a big one. You had the Chiefs all loaded up at the line of scrimmage to play the run. He had an easy one, so that's on me.
Brings up a 2nd and 10, less than 10 minutes to play. Showing pressure. Here they come, and look out. And that's what he'll do against pressure. Almost a first down, picks up 9 again. So he's on his way to 100 yards tonight, 94 right now. He's averaging over 10 yards per run.
Well, once again, they're going to read Chris Jones out here. And basically, Chris Jones is like looking around like, wait a minute, who's blocking me? And then nobody did, because Lamar Jackson basically is blocking him, because he's playing it straight up and not diving down for the run. And when he does that, okay, here I go.
Card, the fullback, made the Pro Bowl last year. And that's a first down. That is 218 yards on the ground. Of course, the Ravens leading the league in rushing the last 2 years, and taking an early lead out of the gate this season.
Chris Jones is one of the best players in the National Football League, and he's sort of been neutralized tonight because of all this option stuff. He really is sort of trying to play traffic cop out there instead of just blowing everything up like he usually does.
Number 95. Lamar, and this time they pin him. They take him. You get a flag down. That's Ward coming in. So they blitz from the secondary, but
illegal contact, defense, number 32. A 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, that's on Ty Matthew. Another penalty on him. What a night he's had. 2 interceptions, a pick 6, and a couple of big penalties.
Take a look at it. There's Tyrann Mathieu right there. Wow.
Really? Seriously? I guess past 5. What say you, pal?
I don't know what penalties are anymore. That's Terry. He gets paid for that.
He would not have called that one. Jackson That's caught. It's going to be Andrews. Run out of bounds by Sorensen. First down, Ravens.
The Chiefs just have no choice. They are reacting so hard against play action, and Andrews against Sorensen is a matchup you'll take all day. Nobody typically will give anybody. It's like giving Kelsey a one-on-one matchup. He's one of the best tight ends in football. But the Chiefs have no choice. They have no choice. They have to come hammer this run. And their guys in coverage are, hey, you're on your own. You got to cover them one-on-one. That's it.
Play clock at 1, halfway through the quarter. Williams to the outside with no place to go, and shoved that by Sorensen just past the line of scrimmage, second down.
I think that's a really bad read that time by Williams. Murray had his guy blocked out to the outside, and now there was nobody. If he cuts this thing up, you watch on this back end. If he cuts up inside the block of number 28 right here, who stops him? And he stayed outside and basically worked against the blocking.
Gain of 1, second and 9. Give it to him again. This time he cuts it back and gets the first down. Carries for Williams tonight and 74 yards, and it's a first down at the 17.
Yeah, and sometimes your wide receivers have to block, and watch on the edge out here. These guys going to come out, and it's Devin Duvernay who's going to make a block on the linebacker Hitchens to spring that one. You wonder if they got in Lamar Jackson's helmet and said, hey, tell Williams to cut it up next time.
Latavius Murray now the back. Give it to him. To about the 12. Down to 6 minutes in regulation.
Oh, we got some beef coming at you now. Bradley Bozeman, Kevin Zeitler right here. Watch this, just taking right back. The old double team and just drive them off the football here. You've got a good back to do that in Latavius Murray, too.
Roman calling in the plays. They've run 9 plays on this drive, 7 rushes, 2 passes. Murray is the back. Lamar looks downfield, throws, and it is dropped. Incomplete. Brown is there in the end zone, covered by Travarius Ward.
I thought Tyrann Mathieu was going to get his third on that one. He's going to, I think this is him right here, and it's going to come in right there. Watch him break across here. Tyrann Mathieu plays that lurk safety position in the middle of the field, and he is a nightmare for quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's not the first one to get had by him.
Almost a pick and almost a touchdown. 3rd and 5. Freeman is the running back. Jackson. There he goes. Lamar for the 2. So that puts him over 100 yards on the ground. 103 to be precise. And they have a 1st and goal spotted at the 3.
Now they're going to pull the center out to do the kick out block right on the edge against Frank Clark. And here we go with Alejandro Villanueva coming around from the backside. Al, the hardest thing about playing the Ravens, you don't know who's going to block you. I mean, you literally have to look outside, look inside, look in front of you. It's hard to figure out where the blocks are coming from.
Tyson Williams is the back. High snap, collects it, spins, no gain at the 3. So a high snap that time. Bolton is there for the tackle. Clock down to 4.5 in regulation.
But great play by Lamar Jackson that time. He just said, all right, forget about it. I'm going to catch it. I'm going to run straight ahead instead of a loss of 5 or 6 or whatever it may have been. Let's just go. We're fine. We're running the ball great. Let me get it back to the line of scrimmage and do it again.
7-minute drive right now, wearing down that KC defense. This will be play number 13. Give it to Williams. Pulling ahead. No, he stopped a little shy of the goal line. 3rd down and goal with under 4 left.
But as the Kansas City Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo know, this is really more like a 2nd down against most teams, because there's no way the Baltimore Ravens aren't going for it on 4th down if they don't make it on this next one. We are going to have some Hosses exploding off the line of scrimmage on this one.
Third and goal. Jackson will now take it from the gun, from the pistol. Keep it himself, untouched, into the end zone. An 8-minute drive. 14 plays, 68 yards, and a half cartwheel into the end zone.
Watch Dana come across as the unblocked guy. He doesn't know what to do. I mean, that's what this offense does to you. That guy knows what to do. Probably would prefer he didn't do that. Yep. Here we go. Unblocked guy. We're going to read him. What do you do? I mean, it's not that they're not tough football players and they want to hit somebody. They just can't find the ball.
Going for 2 to make it a 3-point game. With 3:14. So Spagnuolo's defense tonight has watched his group get shredded for 247 yards on the ground.
So when Jackson gets on the edge with any kind of play, it is tough.
Here he goes again. Looking, throwing, broken up. So that's big. And Mahomes and company will begin from the 25.
There we go. Lamar Jackson. It didn't start so great. A couple of interceptions. But since then, he has just put this team on his back and just has carried them with play after play in the passing game and the running game, trying to run over people that are trying to tackle him. You could tell he was hot after his start to this one. He has led them back. And now, Al, the question is, will those extra points come back to haunt?
Absolutely. And the timeouts as well. You saw that graphic. Most in history, 4 games, 200, passing 100 rushing. And he's just really starting his career in effect. But that's what he does. And now we'll see what Mahomes has up his sleeve.
Same thing. Queen out in coverage.
Rush 4. Fire wide open at the 45-yard line is Pringle. And that's a big gain all the way out to the 27. Pick up there of 23 yards.
Yeah, Mahomes just sees the field so well. And Al, when he gets the ability to spread everybody out like that, and they're 5 wide across the field, it just creates those throwing lanes. And he's so precise and he's so smart. It's almost like, how do you stop it? They are staying with those double teams, though, on Tyreek Hill. Going to come down to Kelce.
Over the middle. Comes down to Kelce. He picks up the first down. Takes it to the 39. They have all their time. So right now they can use the clock here very much to their advantage because of those 2 timeouts that Baltimore used earlier. So they can take it down to the 2-minute warning. Plenty of time, timeouts, get in field goal range, and leave Baltimore nothing on the other side of the clock.
They're looking to kick the game-winning field goal with no time left on the clock.
Absolutely. So taking it down here, they take it right down to the 2-minute warning. Baltimore can only stop the clock 1 time. KC can stop it all 3 times with 2 minutes to go. 1 point, wild one. In Baltimore.
Look at those numbers. They've tried it 4 times, 4 for 4, 73 yards and a touchdown. I think we'll stay in these zones.
Ravens are the team that has blitzed the most in the league since Martindale took over as the defensive coordinator. Now Kelce with a nice game here. And the clock very much working to Kansas City's advantage. 2nd down. Like to get it a little closer for Butker, whose career high is 58 yards. But there is Martindale. And Kansas City holds all the cards right now because of those 2 timeouts that Baltimore had to use earlier. Second down and 3. From the 32-yard line.
Ball's out.
Oh, the ball is out. He lost it. The Ravens all around it. Who has it? Baltimore. Oh, boy.
No, Oweh.
The rookie. His second big play of the night. Edwards-Helaire puts it on the ground.
Al says, oh boy, I say, oh way. Here we go. The rookie's got it. What a start to his career he's having. It's on the ground, and he recovered that thing. Holy smokes, what a game for the young stud, Odafe Oweh.
And still plenty of time. He got 1:20, and Kansas City can stop the clock and get the ball back.
But can they stop their run?
Correct. Edwards-Helaire is a rookie, no fumbles, didn't have one last week. His first one ever in the NFL. Watkins and Jackson exultant, but they still have to get that first down. Otherwise, they're going to have to kick it.
It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when Lamar Jackson runs this football. They will have linemen pulling, and
here he is. Can he get around the corner? He can. He gets knocked down there, and KC can take a timeout, and they do. So that's 4 seconds worth. And it will be 2nd and 9.
Al, so many times people complain about Greg Roman's offense and what they've done. All he's done in his 2 years as the offensive coordinators, set a record for touchdowns for the organization, was 64 in 2019, and came right back with the second most in 2020 with 55. So is it unorthodox? Is it different? Yeah. Does it work? You tell me.
Partner, people complain about everything. What are you talking about?
Let me check my Twitter.
2nd down and 9 from the 35-yard line. Jackson, can he get around the corner? No. Another timeout coming here. So now you got a 3rd down. And again, there's plenty of time on the other side if KC stops him without a first down. Of course, if Mahomes gets it back, he won't have a timeout. 3rd and 8.
Let's go back to Oweh's play here. And this young man has been all over the place. He runs under 4.4 for a defensive end / linebacker and gets his hand right on the ball. The complaint on him coming out of college, Al, was he didn't make enough plays. He didn't have enough sacks. And all he's done in the NFL is make plays of all kind. And that's the biggest one ever if they can pick up these 7 yards.
Demarcus Robinson might have a chance to get it back. So this is it. Pick up a first down. They can run the clock out. Don't. And KC gets the ball back.
Do you trust your passing game here?
4-man rush. Throws, and it's going to be caught, but short of the first down. So Watkins about 1.5 yards short. So it's 4th down. They take their final timeout. You've got 1 minute and 5.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, well, you don't dare. What do you do if you're Baltimore right now?
Don't discount the possibility that they go for this.
No, you don't. It's going to be one hell of a call, though.
This would be really rough. But they play whatever the math says. They don't even think about it. They don't worry about it. And Lamar Jackson is going back on the field, and they are going for it, or at least a hard count.
To at least line up.
But they have been picking up a yard at will all night long. You've got this monster offensive line. You've got extra offensive linemen in there.
Chiefs have to make sure they don't jump. And Jackson will get the first down and, in effect, end the game.
Go on with it, John Harbaugh. The guts of a sailor. He made the toughest call a head coach has to make, and look at him. He knows it. That decision just won the football game. They kick that thing back to Patrick Mahomes. Who knows what happens? 4 offensive linemen on the left side of the center. And Lamar Jackson, with the game on the line, said, nobody's touching it but me.
And they ran that group out in a hurry and snapped it in a hurry. Final play of the game will be a kneel down. What a game. One of the rare times the Ravens were a home underdog. And a crazy game ends the way it does with a fumble and then a 4th down conversion. A beauty tonight.
Are announcers allowed to clap? I would like to clap for that game. That was something else.
Kansas City home next week against the Chargers. Ravens on the road go to Detroit, then to Denver. Wild one. Edwards-Helaire's fumble as they're getting ready to kick what they hope will be a game-winning field goal, leads to Jackson's 4th down run to seal it. Living up to the billing and then some. Andy Reid, man oh man, he's been Mr. September, but not tonight. Sunday Night Football post-game show coming up after these messages from your NBC station.